Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So, got a lot of things to discuss today. So, by now you've heard the news about digital currency, the worldwide digital currency that Bo Jiven is now talking about, and they are now in the midst of passing legislation to crack down on digital currency. And in that message, he talked about adopting blockchain technology as the currency standard here in America. So it's here, isn't it? Now, we on this channel and all of you never wavered on the idea of Bitcoin and crypto since the beginning of this channel. I was always suspicious that millionaires were being created overnight with this new currency. And I saw it even being throttled here on YouTube, with channels popping up overnight, gaining millions of subscribers, making tons of money, advising people on how to trade digital currency. And I knew it was a setup from the beginning. The powers that be were simply doing pilot testing is what they were doing, and they were willing to allow the digital currency to exist to see how it would perform, so then they could hijack it at a later date. This was all worked into the program. Now, unfortunately, some people here in our community gave into helping this happen. And this is, some people ask me, Casey, why don't you work with a lot of other channels? Now, this isn't a judgment, but I'm just saying we're on our own track here. And we listen to the Holy Spirit, or I'd like to think that we try to at every turn. And when something smells suspicious, I'll call it out. So how could I be working with other channels that aren't calling it out? Do you see the problem here? The messaging gets mixed up. So, what is up with that? And now they've completed their little pilot program so they can tighten in the reins and enslave us all under the crypto umbrella. So I see a question here in the chat. Someone asked why I'm reading from Yahoo headlines. Well, if you take a minute and use your noodle and listen to the words I'm saying, you'll understand that Yahoo is simply a portal for all of the major headlines from the other. And it says it right there in the stories. All you have to do is zoom your screen in, and it says it's from New York Times or Washington Post or whatever the case may be. So it takes 5 seconds. Some people want to come at us with negativity and that's in their heart. So they're looking for something. When all you have to do is look and ask the logical question. Of course, I wouldn't be reading Yahoo headlines. They're a portal for the rest of the news. And you'll see that in every single story I cover. Now, every once in a while, they'll have their own story sprinkled in there. But for the most part, it's portals from other sources. And so, they're all liars. That's why we call it reading between the headlines. They're all liars. It doesn't even matter if it's the Washington Post. So it doesn't even matter to begin with. So thanks for that question. Hopefully I addressed it. Now, if you're unsure about, let's get back into digital currency and crypto. If you're unsure about why this is a bad thing, understand that digital currency means the end of all private transactions. It also means real-time control of every purchase you make, which means that there is no more getting by making a few bucks here and there. There is no more, I'm going to pay the babysitter with cash. There is no more, have the kid down the street mow my lawn for me and I'll give him 20 bucks. Those days are gone. If we allow this to happen, those days are gone. Now, if you still think that Thump is innocent in all this, look at how he pushed the framework by which all of this can happen. In other words, if the framework of Jive G was not put in place, you can't really have an accurate and efficient digital currency system. You need this data, this real-time data, to be, very fast and very accurate. So he's not innocent in all of this. Okay? Now, like I said, we've never wavered here. I never, ever liked crypto. Even the name crypto, we talked about, the crypt means death. But for some reason, a lot of channels in the truth community got on board with this, as well as the letter that shall not be named crowd was really pushing this as some kind of freedom currency. And I was like, no, this is enslavement currency. It's enslavement currency. Anyway, let's get into the rest of today's show. I didn't want to spend too much time on the digital currency because I know a lot of other channels have already covered it. I know Call for an Uprising covered it. We don't agree on every single thing, but he is a great channel for people getting into, opening their eyes to the community. He's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. And he did just get one of his channels basically demonetized and shadow banned. So if you can show your support for him on his backup channels, I would want him to do the same for me if I was in the situation he's in. So now let's get into the rest of today's show, because everyone's trying to figure out what is going on with this letter Z painted on the Rushkin tanks. Now, there are theories out there, and here's one of them, a Yahoo article, right? Now, this is an opinion article, and this does come from Yahoo News, but we're reading between the headlines. And I'll give you a synopsis of this article that millions of people read, right? And I believe we found the real meaning behind the Z. Now, the actor Brad Pitt starred in a film called World War Z, and the West keeps pushing this World War III narrative, don't they? Regarding the situation in Ukraine. And so this letter on these tanks holds special interest to me. Now let's summarize this article, and then I'll tell you what I came up with. Now, they say that the reason is because there is a little difference between Rushkin military equipment and Ukraine military equipment. This is what this article says, and of course that's a lie, or a miscalculation of the situation. And they're saying that, the Rushkins have to put a Z on their tank so they can differentiate, so there isn't friendly fire. And to me, that explanation is just too simple, all right? Because there's a million other things that they can do to differentiate these tanks. They could paint them a different color. They could paint stripes on them if they wanted to. I don't know. There's a dozen other ways to make sure that you don't hit your own guys. I mean, these guys are in radio communication with each other and everything. Because, I mean, if you think logically about this, what happens at night? No one's going to see the letter Z at night. So, with night vision. So, what is this really about? So, I think it's deeper. And so I dug deeper. So, now let me present what I found. There are extreme groups that Russia is claiming as the justification for why they invaded. One of these groups is called the Azov battalion, as you can see here in this Wikipedia article. Now, okay, I'm going to get some flack for Wikipedia. I understand that all this stuff is footnoted. See, this is called a footnote. This goes to another source that is reputable. And basically, Wikipedia is a library of footnotes. That's all it is. The only way that they can really lie is either by omission, in other words, not putting something in that's important to give fair context. But what you read is what you would get if you did your own internet research. This particular article came from Al Jazeera. This one came from all these places. And see all these footnotes here. Let me zoom on them so people can see, because I have to, every once in a while, I have to go through and educate people about what Wikipedia actually is. It's a portal of information, of factual information. Now, if you want to discredit anything that I'm saying, then you'd go to the source and try to discredit the source. And so, here's the group. So enough of that. Here's the group. It's called Azov Battalion. And look at their symbol here. I'm going to zoom it up a little bit. Now, this particular group admits that 10 to 20% of their fighters are Yahtzees. And many people have made the accusation against these fighters that there's something weird going on with their symbol. They've accused them of using the symbol because it's reminiscent of the Yahtzee Wolf's Angel symbol. But they deny that. Of course, even though they admit that 10 to 20% of their members are Yahtzees, they deny that their symbol is a Yahtzee symbol. And they say that there's something different going on here with the symbol and why they chose it. They say that it's made up from the imposition of two letters, the letter N and the letter I, which supposedly, or what they say, they claim stands for national idea. Kind of sounds like national ID, doesn't it? National idea. So, something weird is going on. Because if you remove the I from idea in their thing, and so I put this on rotate here so you can see this, then what you're left with is the N, and when you rotate that N, you tilt it just a little bit, you get a Z. So maybe Pute Sit and Spin was going for they have no idea. Maybe that's what this is about when he painted the tanks with a Z. Now, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on here, no pun intended. But this is really weird, isn't it? Now, talking about spinning and rotating letters, when you rotate the letters on the front of the tanks that appear in iPad Go 2, the same thing happens. It turns into a Z. So there are tanks painted with the letter Z if you rotate the tank in iPad Go 2, which came out in 2012. So it appears as though this whole plan of everything that's going on was all kind of planned out. Now, there's something really weird about this whole thing. Because Azov backwards almost spells Koza. Koza in Ukrainian means goat. So here we are, full circle back to iPad Go 2. Now what's up with Koza? Why are we talking about Koza? Well, remember, we decoded that scene in iPad Go 2, this one here, and it appears as though this character might be Cosa Nostra. iPad Goat and Heliofant call this character by name. They call him Pepito. And we found this Pepito Productions company that was filming a film called Cosa Nostra in the Nuke Crane, weren't they? And we found that in doing that, they actually named it with the stylized name, Koza, K-O-Z-A, instead of the typical name for the Italian mafia, which is spelled C-O-S-A. And they stylized it that way because it was in Rushkin, in the Rushkin language, or in the Ukrainian language. So, Cosa Nostra was a movie filmed in the Nuke Crane, and it was all about the Rushkin Mafia, which is front and center, isn't it, into today's events. So this little scene in Pet Go 2 seems to give us more of the situation, doesn't it? Wow. Now this goes even deeper, because one of you gave me this image, and we all know who that is. Bunter Hayden. And look at his teeth. Now, for some reason, mainstream media will not let you talk about this man. But isn't it weird how you have the teeth and the teeth going on here? Understand that these images in iPad Go 2, they're basically, I guess, montages of several different meanings. This is why we found so many different meanings over the years in some of these scenes and images. It's a nested reality. In other words, there are multiple meanings. Now, what is that about? Well, the Bible is written the same way. It's written with depth. So there is no one interpretation of a passage of Scripture. There are multiple interpretations. And so the enemy wants to be like the Most High, doesn't he? So he's going to do the same thing when using his symbolism in works like iPad Go 2 and Hollywood and all these other things. Now, I found something else. This is chilling. Let me make sure you guys are with me. We're going to keep going with this. This is chilling. Glad you guys could all join today. And let's keep watching here. Let's keep playing this out. Uh-oh. Here it is. Now, there is a tattoo shop by the name Cosa Nostra with the stylized... it says you're missing a feature going too fast. You've been temporarily blocked from using it. Wow. These people talking about. Wow, now they're going to disable my... Look at this. This is crazy. This is crazy. We're getting hit up right now, live, you guys. This is crazy. So this is it. This is Cosa Nostra. And they are in Poland. An actual shop. We're getting touched up here, live, you guys. It's not good. Getting blocked. So, this is it. And here's one image. And again, oh man, they won't even let us look at it. This means goat. And look at the goat right there in this tattoo workshop. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about this workshop. We know why they would even be trying to block us off of here. But that's what's going on. It's iPet Goat. And the Ukrainian movie by the same name. So, this is a known meme, isn't it? This Cosa Nostra, the goat. I think it means goat family. Nostra means like family or something. Let me go back here in the chat and see if you guys have any input into what I just covered. Now, I'll put a link to that site, but apparently we're getting knocked off here. Something weird happens. Like I go in and I'll start pulling up these tabs, and it's almost as if someone's on my back end and they know what I'm about to present and they sabotage it. They kill the link, they do whatever they're going to do, and it's unbelievable. So I got to be careful. Sometimes I'll have my show all set up, and then another YouTube channel will cover the exact same thing that we were going to cover. And so there's something weird going on. Now, tomorrow I hope that we don't have any roadblocks, because I'm going to show you guys this lab, this biolab that is at the center of everything. A biolab that was set up by Bo Mama when he was a senator. This goes all the way back to the beginning, and now we know why he is sweating in iPad Go 2, because he knew that he was going to be exposed. He knew he was going to be, or the powers that be knew that they would expose him. So let's look in here and see what you guys have to say about this Cosa Nostra. Wow. Freaking knocked me off of Facebook. Unbelievable. I'll close my account. We've had a lot of problems with the Facebook group, and it's just crazy what's going on with the Facebook group. Every time I get it cleared out, we get more violations, and they're threatening to shut it down. There's 5,000 people in the Facebook group. There should be many, many more, but it's basically an open forum, open platform for people to post whatever they want. But I ask in the rules to please not post fact-checked stuff. Just delete it and try again. Post it a different way. Because what happens with Facebook is every time you post a fact-checked article, it goes against the group, and eventually they can take the group down. Now, I've had my suspicions because I think there are agents out there intentionally posting fact-check stuff by the dozens to get the group taken down. So, wow. All right. check out Netflix to the Lake based on Rushka about a virus in China invasion. Yeah, many of you have closed your Facebook accounts, but there are still people out there that need to see information that are on Facebook. They need to see it. So this is why I always maintain and establish a footprint in as many places as I can so people can wake up to the truth. And slowly over the years, they've begun to close doors down. Used to be that whenever you uploaded on YouTube, it would automatically send a tweet out on Twitter. Well, they shut that down. They blamed it on the Rushkins, of course. They say Twitter was being infiltrated by Rushkins and influencing elections. We all know that was hogwash. But they love to use that excuse to shut down communication. So, and I don't really go much on Twitter anymore because even with 5,000 followers, I'll put up a tweet and literally 2 people respond. So there's something broken over there, right? And that's the case with all social media. We see how quickly they will cancel culture people at will. And make no mistake, they're doing it on the back end without even letting you know. Now let's get into some of these other headlines and updates this morning. Now, things are heating up with this WNBA star. She's in Rushkin custody, and they released these images of her, and they're trying to put her at the center of everything going on right now as some kind of political prisoner. Let me see, where's the image of her? Oh, I think it's on this next story here. I think I got it right here. So this is her, and she's sitting there with her, holding up this whatever. And now here's the crazy thing about this. She got arrested with vapes over there just before all this went down, just before the invasion. And let's see if we could play this. Now here's the weird thing. Look at this. Let's play this a little bit. Oh, this is just some news story. Now, apparently, she plays under a league that is owned by Rushkin oligarchs. So she might use this as some kind of bargaining chip to get free. Now, who in their right mind would travel to a country like Russia with illegal contraband? That's stupid. Now, I'm not saying that, it should be wrong to do that, but the rules are the rules. Nobody in their right mind would, attempt something like this. This is just nuts. It's crazy. So then you got to ask yourself, is all this just smoke and mirrors? Is this some kind of a game? Is she a Mason that is, involved in this as some kind of thing to help, capitulate this whole situation? Or not capitulate, that's the wrong word. To help, promote this whole situation? I don't know. Because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But this is suspicious nonetheless, isn't it? So she's going to try to use her influence with these U.S., her negotiation with this owner of this league or whatever. I don't know if it's the owner of the league or owner of the actual club that she plays for. I don't know. But this is what they're saying they're going to do. All right, let's get into this next story now. The U.S. is giving mixed messages about how involved it wants to get with the nuke crane. How do I know this? Well, Poland offered all of its MiG fighter jets to the nuke crane with one condition, that they send them to an American Gorman base. And then from there, I'm saying the word Gorman, it's actually a country. I can't say the country. And at this base, this American base, that they would fly out from there. And the U.S. is saying, no way, we're not going to do this. This can't happen. Because it would directly involve us in a confrontation with Russia. Now, as time goes by, to me it seems like we only want to give the appearance of helping nuke Ukraine. I mean, we just flushed $13 billion of taxpayer money down the toilet. We froze all the Rushkin assets and shamed them on the world stage. We're basically racially profiling Rushkins here in America. They're losing their businesses and their livelihoods. People aren't buying from them anymore, thinking they have something to do with all this. So I think pretty much at this point, we're pretty much already involved, aren't we? It's not going to matter at this point whether or not jets fly out of, our bases. But, they're trying to make it look like this is what they're doing. Unbelievable. Now, here's another article here, and I found this article interesting because it gives a snapshot in time, going back to 2013, about the Yahtzee problem in the Ukraine. The problem that the mainstream media wants to ignore and believe is not happening. It was a problem, despite the Western media's attempt to whitewash it. Let's read this. Now, interestingly, look at the source. I'm not going to say the name, but look at the source. The place that America likes to hail as the be-all, end-all of truth is the one who wrote the article in 2013. Ukraine divided over the legacy of Yahtzee fighters. Local men who fought as part of the Serpents are remembered either as traitors or patriotic heroes. Let's read a little bit of this history here about what they were saying back then. Ukrainians dressed in Yahtzee uniform trudged through trenches and fired model rifles in a reconstruction of a key battle against the Soviets during World War II. An Orthodox priest leads a ceremony for fallen soldiers of the Yahtzee unit, sprinkling his blessing over several men sporting the cross who lower a coffin into a ritual reburial. The scenes were part of commemorations last week of soldiers. Many Ukrainian nationalists, along with a smattering of hardcore ultra-rightists, hail as heroes. The men they are honoring belong to the Serpent Galician Division, a Yahtzee military unit made up of mostly Ukrainians. Oh, wait a minute. I thought that was not a problem. More than 20 years since gaining independence from Soviet Union, Ukraine remains painfully divided over the legacy of World War II and the actions of Ukrainian nationalist fighters who are honored as heroes by some. So there is an infiltration problem going on here, and condemned as traitors by others. Some of those fighters served under or cooperated with Yahtzees, seeing a chance to overthrow the Soviets. Ukraine is in our souls and hearts, says this one Yahtzee, gray-haired man in his late 80s, before the remains of some of his fellow soldiers were reburied in coffins draped with yellow and blue Ukrainian flag. Now understand, this goes all the way back. So some of this influence that's happening is going back to the generation from that generation. So they've influenced their sons and daughters, right? So this is a thing that's happening here. So I'm not going to read any more of this. I'll link this. It's just history so that you can get your bearings, because the mainstream media is not telling the whole story. Now, let's go back into the chat as we begin to wind down the show. Again, tomorrow we're going to show you the biolab in Odysee in Google Earth. Now, a couple of people expressed frustration with having to use coded language, and my best advice to you is to send your complaints to YouTube, because they're the ones that are only allowing mainstream sources to talk about what's going on in the world. And they get to publish anything they want, unfettered, fully funded, whereas channels like mine are constantly, every day I wake up, I don't know if my channel's going to be taken down. To live under that kind of stress, you don't understand how that works. It's unbelievable. Not because, for the reason of all of you being here. And the problem is a lot of people depend on this information. And so when our voice gets erased, that's a lot of pressure that I carry on my shoulders. And so Other channels, mainstream sources, and popular and popularized mainstream music artists and everyone else, they never have to worry about these things. The only thing they have to worry about is how many millions of subscribers they get. So this is a real thing. So send your complaints and frustrations up to YouTube, not this channel. We're doing the best we can to maintain a voice. Okay, so if you're finding yourself angry at me and thinking I'm ridiculous for using the language that we do here, then that might be you just getting triggered. Okay. All right, so let's talk about what's about to happen in the EU, because I believe that it's going to be a dark winter for all Europeans indefinitely, because of the actions against Russia and unprecedented sanctions. We've never seen anything like this before. And I'm not saying we should feel bad for Russia. What I'm saying is that where were the sanctions when we were doing far worse in countries around the world over the last 30 years? We didn't get sanctioned in the US, did we? We didn't. In fact, it was the opposite. People were investing in our economy. And we were making money for a lot of people, weren't we? So, there's something a little backward going on here, isn't there? Now, why do I say it's going to be a dark winter for all Europeans? Well, the governments there just announced that people should begin to cut their energy use. 50, 60, 70% in the name of fighting Russia. They actually said, to do your part, you should cut off your demand for Rushkin energy. Can you believe that? So the message is, how cold are you willing to allow yourself to get in your house this winter to fight Russia? I've never heard anything like this in my life. Unprecedented messaging to the people of Europe. Now, they're trying to act bold and, we're gonna be able to cut our demand of Rushkin gas and oil. We're gonna be able to cut it by next year or the end of this year. This is what they're claiming. They're actually claiming that they'll be able to do this. Now understand that cutting the supply on the personal level isn't going to be a choice for a lot of people. It's going to be forced. How? Because they're not going to be able to afford it. You're literally going to be turning your heater on, maybe maintaining 50 or 60 degrees in the house, because it's going to be so expensive. And this is unbelievable. This is what we're willing to do. When Russia is claiming that if the Ukrainian just simply agrees to be neutral, that they'll pull all their troops out now. That would end the war, and that would also counter the myths that Russia wants to go further and would become a threat to the region. Call them on their bluff. Agree to the terms and see if they pull out. If they don't pull out, then we get serious and we get tough, because we'll know they're lying. Now, Pukestein is no angel, because he did lie. He lied about the training exercise. Remember all that? Oh, we're just doing our yearly training exercise. And then lo and behold, he did the bait and switch, didn't he? So, you can't really take him at his word. But on the flip side, if you agree to the terms, and then he does not pull out like he said he was, now we have ourselves a reason to be concerned, don't we? Yes, we would. And then at that point, things would escalate, and people could bring things to bear to handle the situation. But, it's just crazy. So the people of Europe are about to get thrown back into the dark ages. So I recommend that if you live in Europe, you start chopping up some firewood and maybe buy yourself a shed and a wood splitter and get ready for what's to come. Buy yourself a wood burning stove. We were burning a lot of wood when I was in France. I can't even imagine being there with the situation that's about to unfold. God is amazing, isn't he? and he delivered us from that situation. There's still many, many videos on this channel, on the backup channel, of our journey to France and what that entailed. And I always wonder if I could look back and see if there were any signs or symbolism that were pointing forward to this. And now that I think about it and contemplate it, there actually were. Mark and I went and visited a war memorial, World War II memorial. And we saw the crosses and the plaques. Maybe I should dig that video out, because it's amazing how God prepares us for what is to come. And here we are, full circle. We did several war memorial videos seeing these monuments, and at the time, of course, I had no idea. I was just walking in the steps, walking in the faith, right? And that's what we're supposed to do. When you walk in the faith and you listen to the little signals that God puts in your mind, then all of a sudden you see things full circle. You see the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end when you look back on your life. And I think all of you will realize that if you take a minute and think about where you walked in your life, in times that you didn't walk in God's steps and you went on your own accord. So that's pretty amazing. Maybe we'll put together a World War II video of all of the videos that we had covered when I was with Mark in France. And maybe there'll be clues as to what might happen next. I'll do that. I'll work on that today and upload that for you guys. Now, there's a scene in iPad Code 2 where there is one lone oil rig. And now it appears as though that scene might be the Siberian tundra. Maybe that's what it was all about. And you see a drop of oil falling down. See if it's here on the Heliofant site. One drop as the oil reserves dry up. I don't think they show it here, but you can go on to iPad Go 2 and see the drop of oil drying up. And here we are, you guys. It's happening right now. Now, tomorrow we'll be getting into some breaking news about Bo Mama's involvement all the way back to when he was a senator into helping to cut a deal to install or help install a bioweapons research reference lab in Odessa, Ukraine. Let me pull up a tab here because I want to make sure Senator Obama on Odessa. I want to make sure that I remember to do this for you guys. We're going to cover this article right here that you're seeing on your screen and some other things. And then I've got to montage all of the World War II stuff that we looked at when I was in France. So that's what we're going to work on today. Now, this whole Odessa, Ukraine reference lab thing and the whole Bo Mama situation is huge. Because all this seemed to have been predicted in iPad Go 2. There's a scene where Bo Mama is sweating over the little golden calf, foot over the ruble image. He has his foot over a coin, which was from the little golden calf. So we're going to talk about all that tomorrow if you're confused about what I'm saying. All right, you guys, let's go into the chat for a little bit. See what you guys are up to. All right. Jesus is a strong tower. Teeth of victims implanted, says Jamie. Snake Island. All right. Have you seen Donbass's 2014? Yeah, you know, it's crazy. There's like some weird, like, I know Russian is a peculiar language, And from what I hear, it's very hard to understand it. But there's some weird stuff going on with some of these words, like Crimea. Sounds like Crimea River. That's a common term, right? Or Donbass is like right? Or dumb. So there's like weird stuff going on. I notice stuff like this because words are everything. They use these words. It's coded language. Europe won't go coal. They have coal. Do you think they're going to let them use dirty coal? I don't think so. I mean, if the people revolt. But look, if they were going to revolt, they should have revolted a long time ago. When the Yellow Vest came out, when these mandates came out, the smack scene passports, if there was ever a time to revolt, it would have been back then. They're not going to revolt when the government say you can't use coal, because they would have revolted already. Now, we had a plan. I was trying to get the word out to the people over there in France. Look, why are you in the streets of Paris? That's about the dumbest place you could be, because all you're doing is ruining your own infrastructure and proving the point of what the controllers are trying to battle you against. The place to go is to surround the actual people and where they live. Camp out outside their places, and after a while they get sick of looking at you. But for some reason, the crowds there didn't get the message. The truckers are starting to get the message. They're starting to figure all this out. But even DC, that's not the place you really want to go. You want to go around where these people live. Go in their neighborhoods and pull your trucks up. Right? It's not illegal. That's where they should have the pressure, so that when they come home at night, they have to drive through all that and see the people and how angry they are. So, always look out for the people who are organizing some of these things. Be very careful, because oftentimes, infiltrators will put up their own organizers in these events and then derail them with bad strategy. Now, a few things I did like about the trucker movement was that they put banners of the messaging on the trucks so people knew what they were going for, and that it was a largely peaceful protest. But we see that where did peace get these people? I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been peaceful, but where did this get them? Well, in Canada, got accounts frozen. People put on lists. Their money was taken. It got an emergency order. So they were able to take even more freedoms and power away from the people that were involved. That's where it got them. So obviously it didn't work. We actually lost ground. So I don't know what the answer is, you guys, in terms of protests and what's going to make the difference. I don't know what the answer is to that. I don't know. Maybe it's an online voting system that shows exactly how many people are upset about something. But that voting system has to be put at the highest levels. Like the outlets with the most followers have to adopt that voting system, that online voting system, to demonstrate that people are upset. Because unfortunately, people follow the mainstream, don't they? So a mainstream outlet has to go, okay, we're going to do a poll. We're going to do a poll. We're going to see how many people are upset about this or how many people are upset about that. And then when the governments see that 3/4 of the people are opposed to this or that, then all of a sudden change can happen. You see? Then all of a sudden change can happen. Now, why nobody has come up with some kind of a polling system that maintains a person's privacy, but also provides an accurate count of what is typically called a vote, right? I don't believe in voting, but in this case, we're talking about some kind of digital setup where it counts your opinion as one count, right? And it can't be messed with. It can't be corrupted. Why they haven't come up with something like this, I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. Because if they did come up with something like this, then you would see that the majority of people don't agree with how they're being governed. And that would decimate the entire political system, because people would realize, wow, these people aren't really representing us. They're representing themselves in some secret agenda that they're not telling us about. But if anybody could come up with that, that would be the end of government and politics. It would be over. Because then you could actually see how people vote on something. For instance, the mandates. And, you know, when they were talking about wanting to force this on every single man, woman, and child in America. The smack scene. Most people just gave in because they thought they were forced to. But if asked if they would rather just deal with the consequences of not having everyone smack the nation, then I think most people would agree that they would just take their chances. It's probably a 70-30 split. And if there was some kind of way to collect that consensus with an uncorrupted counting system, then guess what? The politicians would have to change course, wouldn't they? That's what we really need. We need everybody's voice to be heard. Everybody's voice to be heard. And that is a true representative system. With the technology we have, that shouldn't be a problem to do. But they're making it sound like it is a problem. We're still counting with paper ballots and stuff. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Anyway, there's my rant for today. Let me get on some of these projects for you guys. I really want to put together these World War II videos from France, and I want to dig in a little bit more into what Beau Mama's role was as a senator in the Stew Crane, because that trickles down to Beau Jivin as well, doesn't it? It's all connected, because he was the VP of Beau Mama. So they probably have some secret project or club that they were all working on, don't they? If we use our noodles, then we can see that this is probably the case. Anyway, I love each and every one of you. Thanks everybody for showing up. And, geez, we'll do a celebration show once we get off of the 105,000 subscriber mark that we've been on for the last 6 months. Gosh, they are just smashing this channel down, aren't they? They will not let us grow. We upload every single day, and it's just unbelievable what they've done to this channel. Anyway, let's all stay the course, keep pressing forward, and I'll keep doing the work, and that's pretty much it. I love each and every one of you. Have a great rest of your day. Take care and be safe.